What I do with people is get you out of your comfort zone. You've got to take action and you've got to do something different. Doing the same thing over and over again is going to get you the same results. You know that.
This is why I want you to help me, because I've had a bit of a turbulent year, found out a few things about my fertility, etc., etc. So prior to that, I was like panic, going out, meeting all the wrong uns, and basically just was stressing myself out.
From speaking to you, I can see you've got an amazing personality, and what I would suggest on the date, sit back a bit.
Yeah.
So that the guy is leaning forward. You know, if you're doing all the work and feeling like you have to prove something or win something, he doesn't get to work for you. And the whole point about valuing yourself is that you are the precious jewel. That's how women have to see themselves.
I will go out on a night out, I'll meet a guy and I'll come home and I'll say, I've met the one, like, that's it. And then 2 days later, I just lose interest.
You can either look for the diamonds or you can look for the chewing gum.
I'm looking for the diamonds, honey, and beyond.
What about you, Bobby?
You know, when someone tells you something enough, like if someone picks flaws in your appearance, that doesn't leave me, that stays with me. And things like that, they make me, it builds up and makes me feel like I'm not good enough for someone.
So you're giving the power out there. The power's out there. Someone says something and it's affecting you. You know, needing someone to validate you is so personal. It is the biggest challenge in life. It sounds like now is the time where you want to crack this and you want to move forward with it.
You want to be validated.
Yeah.
Let's talk to dating coach and relationship expert Jo Barnett, who's here in the studio. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
So what are people doing wrong on first dates?
There's been a lot of controversy about not being yourself. And what's important on a first date is that someone gets to know you. And when you talk about your passions, your interests, your hobbies, you're revealing what matters and how you like to spend your time. So all of that is important, rather than just sitting there trying to say what you think someone wants to hear.
But isn't first date about impressing someone, or should you have done that before you arranged to go and have a first date?
There's a bit of a difference between impressing and giving a good first impression.
Yeah, OK.
Yeah, so you want to come across friendly and warm and open, you know, good body language, good eye contact, smiling, but you also want to be authentic and true to you, because otherwise they're not going to know if you're suitable. You're not going to know if you're suitable. So there's a fine line between honesty, authenticity, and making a good first impression.
Are there any faux pas? Are there any no-go areas that you would say are off-limits on a first date? Because I was talking to a friend the other day who goes on lots of first dates, and she was saying, she was talking about the traumas of her past relationships, and she's now decided she's not going to do that.
What,
on a first
talking
date.
About that on a first date?
On a first date, and she says she thinks it really scares them off.
Not, and it would scare them off. You know, if I say to people, don't bring up anything negative, anything that's going to trigger you. It's not a therapy session. It's fun, it's light-hearted. Imagine you were going out with a friend and if they're having a good time, you're having a good time. So, like, relax, get to know them and don't talk about problems, ill health. Don't get involved in anything that's going to aggravate you. Keep it light and talk about your hobbies.
But in terms of those things that we are currently keeping quiet, our little quirks, I mean, there's a survey out today that is saying that apparently we're more attracted to people who own their quirks rather than try to hide them. Is that because, are we looking for individuality? Is that the thing?
Well, when you think about it, there's so much choice out there. You know, you go on any dating app, there's thousands of people. So you are looking for an individual and you're looking for someone who's memorable. So if you give away something like, in my spare time, I do gaming, or, you know, my secret hobby is I love cartoons, or those kind of quirks, it can be endearing. and it can show your fun and playful side. So although people might be embarrassed if they've got what they call quirky hobby, sharing it shows that you have different layers to you. So I don't think you should hide those things. I think it's good to reveal more about who you are.
Yeah.
And what are your first date tips then? What makes for a perfect first date?
You know, it really is about connection. You've got to build that connection. And the thing that's really important is 50-50. So you want to be talking 50% of the time, you want to be listening. And
I thought you were talking about the bill. I assumed you were talking about the bill when you said, well, I was going, oh, yes.
You've got to go Dutch.
We're back to the bill. No, I think that's an individual choice. You know, personally, I think the man should offer. I think the lady can offer. And I would like the guy to refuse, personally, because I think that's romantic. I think it shows that someone cares. But it's very individual, you know. So 50-50 is making sure that you're talking and listening in equal amounts. Don't let someone monopolise the evening.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that's very good advice. Jo, really good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
How does it work, though? I mean, what's your advice? Is it to sit in front of the computer, or is it to use apps, or what's your advice?
So I do suggest apps. There are obviously quite a few. So choose the ones that you're comfortable with. And you can talk to people, you can build that connection, get to know someone, think about your profile, the message you're putting out there, the kind of person you want to meet. And then you want to get onto FaceTime calls, interactive calls, get to know that person. And of course, if you're brave enough and it's going well, you want to get out there and meet up for a walk, meet face to face. And there's a nice slow pace of getting to know someone. You can space it out in a way that we could never do that before.
It's almost like it's more okay to do it more digitally now with the pandemic than previously when you almost had to meet in person, right?
Well, that's right. And clients always said to me, I don't want to go digital. I just want to meet someone naturally. And of course, we all do. But unfortunately, that's not reality. Millions of people are meeting on dating apps. It's bigger than ever. So you really do have to take part. And I think the lockdown has shown us that you have to be prepared to put yourself out there on the apps and meet like-minded people. It is the best way. It's how everyone is meeting now, unless you're lucky enough to get an introduction, which is my second favourite way of meeting people.
All right. Thanks for the advice. Put yourself out there. That's the best advice for finding love now during the pandemic.
But if it's your first date, what's the correct etiquette to display? Well, here to tell us exactly how to make a great first impression is dating coach and relationship expert Jo Barnett. Hello to you, Jo.
Pressure's on, Jo.
Yeah.
Pressure's on.
That's fine.
So how do you make an impression? Give us some tips.
Sorry,
it's that first
So
date.
you only get something like a minute or less to make a first impression. And it takes a bit of planning. You know, it's showing the other person that you've put some thought into it. Think about what you're going to wear. Hygiene, you know, basic as that.
Brush your teeth.
But brush your teeth, smell nice, turn up on time. You know, don't be late. And even text someone during the day to say, I'm really looking forward to seeing you, and that just makes the other person feel quite special.
However, you've got to be careful, though, haven't you? Because you don't want... I think a lot of people do this on dates, where they end up going along on a date and they're not themselves. There's something, and so as the relationship develops, you realise, actually, but neither of us are the people we're pretending to be.
The first date is always a little bit tricky because you're on your best behaviour, and I do suggest that, you know, you put your best self across. It takes time to get to know someone. You're not going to see all the different aspects of someone straight away. the best way to build rapport is actually to give something away about yourself, show a little bit of vulnerability.
Oh, like what?
Yeah.
So tell a story, say, you know, oh, it could be that last year I didn't get a Valentine's and I'm so happy to be here today. It doesn't matter what it is, just a little something.
So it's breaking the ice at the beginning then, is what you're saying, because that's the bit where you sit down and...
Showing that you're a real person.
Would you make it up, or does it have to be true?
But I would say, you know, use an element of truth, you know.
Oh, that's sneaky, an element of truth.
Yeah, I mean, don't tell your worst story. Certainly don't make yourself come across, you know, terrible and sad on the first date. But I would say I would give something away about yourself that is real, and then you get to know the real person.
What about clothes? Because you mentioned, you know, dressing for the occasion. I mean, some people like to get really dressed up and it makes them feel good, but perhaps you're going to a casual restaurant, but you don't want to make the wrong impression. You just got to be yourself, right?
Yeah, so find out where you're going. Personally, I would say be comfortable. You know, there's no point wearing an outfit where you sit down and you're pulling it down and you're pulling it up, and be comfortable in what you're wearing, but also make an effort. Men, I say wear a shirt. And ladies, why not? It's an opportunity to dress up a bit.
But how do you, right, now this is the thing, how do you, as a lady, get dressed up nicely, you want to look attractive and sexy, without looking too far?
Yeah, so there's a rule about that. It's either the top half or the bottom half. If you're wearing a really short skirt, you're not going to wear a really short top. You know, you also want the attention to be on you. They're getting to know you as a person. So like a nice bright colour on Valentine's Day could be red, and something that is a little bit special. You know, it's a special day of the year. It's all about romance, and you really want to show that you've put in a little bit of effort.